So here's the thing, I've been wanting to talk about this for a long time now. Uh, it is what is politics? What is it that people like me, urban, educated, privileged people like you and me, most of the people seeing this video are probably like me, English speaking, Indians, well traveled, well educated, well to do, without really worry about where their next meal is coming from. What do they think politics is? Uh, I think most of my misconceptions have been broken over the last uh, year or so since I have started taking active part in electoral politics. Of course, I've always had friends who were in politics because of birth, and some who have been in politics by choice for the last 25, 30 years or more. And I have always been hearing different versions of what is politics. It's almost like it's, the blind men of Hindustan, that story where we are all touching different parts of the elephant and each one of us is describing it completely differently, believing at the same time that we've got it, we know exactly what it is, and then basing all our lives decisions on that particular perspective. I think I have understood it in a different way, in a more holistic way, but then everybody thinks that. So forgive me for being a little vain here, but let me put it in front of you and see what you think, because this is my takeaway from everything that I've learned about politics, not just in India, everywhere. Politics, of course, is the art of being able to affect policy that is going to affect the lives and possibly the deaths of other people, typically a large group of people. So, here's how I look at it metaphorically. It is a table. There is a table. Let's call it the table of power. And on this table, or rather around this table, are seats that are up for grabs. And one does what one does in order to get to one of these seats. So first let's think of what one does to get to one of these seats. Now whatever it is that one has to do in order to occupy one of these seats, and sometimes you can even create a seat by pushing two seats apart and finding some place in the middle where you can put your stool until it grows into a large chair. What you have to do to get one of these seats is what is commonly derided as identity politics. Now, it is my case that all kinds of politics is identity politics. There is no such thing as a non-identity politics, because politics derives its power to get to that seat of power, to the table of power, the seat across the table of power, from identity. And the reason is you need a mass base to get there. Now, how you get that mass base is immaterial. Why I say that will become a little more evident down the line of this video, in the sense that a Mao could get there by the barrel of the gun, a Nehru could get there through jail and being part of the freedom movement, a Eisenhower could get there by being the general that he was, Abraham Lincoln could get there by the power of his oratory and his thoughts, where he was on the right side of history. Somebody could get there. King Charles got there through inheritance. There are people who get there through very large mandates, like Modi was trying to. And there are people who get there on the dint of their intellect and the way that they guide a large section of the society to believe that yes, this person speaks for me. An Ambedkar, for example. A Bhagat Singh could see it very differently as to how to get to that table of power. A Savarkar could get to the table of power in a different way. So what I'm trying to say is that there are different ways and means to get there. Now, why is this important? Is because what happens is, for us liberals, especially as I said, the urban educated privileged liberals, the Bourbon Naxals as we like to mock our detractors by calling ourselves, what happens is We mock other people's place at the table of power by saying that they are illegitimate, that they arrived there by being, I don't know, by asking for Akhand Bharat or by asking for a secessionist state of their own, maybe Dravid Nadu, maybe Khalistan, maybe a Azad Kashmir. We mock them for saying that they want Akhand Bharat. We mock them for saying that they want a Hindu Rashtra. And we point to them and laugh and say, you, my friend, are illegitimate. You have no place at this table of power. Please leave the seat. I will not listen to you. I will not negotiate with you. There is no negotiating with terrorists. That is a very impractical approach to politics. I believe that every person who has managed to get a seat on or around the table of power is a legitimate contender to be negotiated with, to be spoken to be dealt with, to be taken into consideration for all decisions regarding the people who are affected by the decisions that are taken on that table. So, where Indian political perspective or landscape or people are stuck, my own belief is that we seem to point at them and say that they are illegitimate, they have no right to be on that chair, and they point to us and say we are illegitimate and we don't speak for the masses and we are in fact anti-nationals. We are people who do not have the interests of the majority in our minds. We point to them with similar accusations and allegations, and it just becomes a stalemate. The reason is most of us who are outside this table of power look at this table of power with a sense of idealism. There is no such thing in real politics. A Rahul Gandhi, regardless of his public utterances about the other side, about Modi, for example, okay, very much recognizes the legitimacy of Modi's seat at that table, and Modi, on the other hand, equally recognizes the legitimacy of Rahul Gandhi's seat. Even though Mr. Kharge is the president of Congress, even though Mr. Nadda is the president of the BJP, every person recognizes where they stand around that table of power. So, my request to you is that nobody is to be considered illegitimate. Are you an Naxalite? Sure, you still have a place at that table. I may not like what you do. I may not agree with what you want from that table. I may actually be put off. I may be nauseated by the way you came to that table. Are you an Akhand Bharatite? Are you a Gaurakshak? Are you somebody I despise or somebody I don't agree with? I'm sorry, if you are on the table of power, instead of deriding you, I need to learn how to work with you. I need to figure out how I can get what I want for my people to serve the interests of those that I represent. And you might consider you as the representative of the entire table. I mean, there's nobody stopping you. That's as legitimate as somebody else considering exactly the same. Okay, but we need to let go of this feeling that somebody's path to the table of power somehow defines their legitimacy or their right to be there. We may not agree with them, we may not agree with the means that they used to get there, but now that they are there, they must be taken into consideration and they must be consulted, they must be negotiated with. We cannot say we will not negotiate with you. We cannot say we will not talk to you. We cannot say that we will not consider you legitimate. And until and unless we can stop this sort of thinking and consider that, well, they're here and I need to find a way around them or through them to get to what I want for the people that I think that I care for or who care for me. Until we do that, we are always going to be in a stalemate, shouting at each other rather than talking to each other. And I think one of the ways to get there is accept that this is a table of power. It's metaphorical, of course. There's no such table. The parliament isn't that table. The Vidhan Sabha isn't that table. The table is a vague concept, and we are all occupying chairs. Some of us have more chairs, some of us have less chairs. It's nothing to do with the number of seats in the parliament. A Rahul Gandhi with 40 seats was, I think, supping at the same table of power as a Modi with 303 seats. And both of them understood that, regardless of whatever power differential it seemed to the outsider. I think both of them realized that they are talking to equals and they treated each other as such. I think it's time that we start doing so. and we start thinking of the other as having as legitimate a right on that table as us. Jai Hind.